Hello and welcome to another episode of the LTA Report. We got so much to talk about. So, as usual, we're just going to get right into it. And then maybe at the end, we can talk about, our weeks and life and just things in general. Um, LTA Finals happened. And I did a stream right after the finals. And I sort of gave it a 4 out of 10. I wasn't too happy with the finals. Um, so I do want to hear your thoughts. And then I can sort of reiterate what I said.
I was disappointed that 100 Thieves couldn't close out one of these games in like games 2 and 3. Just because I really, like, in my opinion, the org is one of the worst like performing orgs in finals, and like I really don't want that to be, even though I'm technically doing, I don't want that to be like a dampener on this roster because I do think this roster has potential. I'm happy they at least go over some of their ducks of beating TL and FlyQuest in best of threes because I think while the best of five looms over them and that's going to be a test for them going forward with potentially Fearless not even being a thing for the rest of the year. Um, how do they now beat these teams when they're in their comfort zone? So at least I've got something for themselves to build up on and say, okay, there are tapes there of us beating them.
Yeah, I actually one of the things I mentioned about it was it felt like after game two, like APA said it best or did it best. He just like put the choke, like he was taunting them that they're choking. It just
Yeah.
felt like 100 Thieves could have won games 2 and 3, like should have won games 2 and 3. Like it was so close to have something more, and it's just you can't really control it, right? The games are going to give you whatever the games are going to give you, but it was a little underwhelming to say the least. Like, especially since last finals was so epic, even though it was only 4 games.
Mm.
It was I don't want to say uneventful because the games were still fun, at least 2 and 3. Like, but at some point it became like, oh, are 100 Thieves really gonna throw this? Really? Like, can you give us at least one more game, please?
I think that finals epitomized what I felt this entire split, and it makes me feel like VCT, where they have no stadium finals, they just have everything in house. Just felt soulless. It felt like VCT with this short format, straight into international events where NA is expected to do better, like in Valorant, but like we all know what happens with NA, right? There's just no life to it. Like I respect the Brazilian crowd. They completely showed up our like NA counterparts. Like songs for FlyQuest, C9, 100 Thieves, TL. Like there's more of like a TL like ultra crowd than there is in NA, which is embarrassing. Um, there's just like outside of the games itself, it felt really like soulless. It didn't feel like anything.
Wait, what do you mean outside the games of El Solis? Like the event in general?
It's just it doesn't. I know it's the LTA now. It just doesn't feel like what we're like accustomed to. There's just it didn't have that like that thing you can't describe about the LCS, but like in your heart like what the feelings are like when you watch these like things. Maybe best of fives would have helped in that regard, but it's it just doesn't feel the same anymore.
I think so. I think one of the things we kind of have to keep in mind was like Saturday was quite hype. Like 100 Thieves actually pulling out the upset. Team Liquid beating Cloud9. I thought Cloud9 were the favorites. I thought Cloud9 probably should have won. I felt like they had the game in their hands and they kind of sort of threw game two, I think it was.
It was game one.
Was game
Game
one the
one was game one was where we had Azir, and we were like super
Oh,
scaling, and then
that's
Bladder got
right,
caught
that's
in
right. Yeah.
jungle, and then Weef decided to walk up mid for some reason, got caught, lost Atkan and Baron, and then the game was over.
Yeah. So I actually thought you guys probably could have won. I don't think like I'm not gonna say you should have won. I thought you could have won. So I thought Saturday games were pretty nice. My major complaints were like there was not that much. It was a very short split, and it felt like they weren't able to, despite us having actually really hype matchups. Like you said, it didn't feel like they were able to give us that feeling. They did the best that they could in terms of, working out in 5 weeks and giving us like we saw 100 Thieves play Team Liquid. We saw them play Cloud9. We saw them play FlyQuest. We saw FlyQuest play all the other
Yeah,
three. We saw
that's
the
what I was
top four
gonna
teams all fight,
say as well. Like we did see the scrap twin top four teams a lot,
which I
and all of
liked.
them, if you noticed, what they were all 3 game series. Every single one of those scraps.
Yeah. Obviously the finals, like I'm a little sad that 100 Thieves choked just because I was worried coming into Brazil, like the playoffs, that 100 T would choke because again, Quid is known to like have nerves issues and he overcame them, but then they happened again. He went 0 tech 10. Like, what is happening with Quid? And he looked great. It looked like he didn't have problems, but come finals, maybe it was a choking issue. I know a lot of people were like against the draft. I mean, they were winning games 2 and 3. You don't like I can't really blame you could say maybe game one, why do you give him Ziggs into Azir? Like, I thought they were doing a good job at like taking away, a lot of champions so that even though they lose game one, they can win draft games 2 and 3, which I thought was what happened and what they wanted to do. Either way, you can't really control like that. I don't want to like harp too much on 100T. I know we do have a topic about like the management and what it feels like to be a 100 Thieves fan, and I'm glad David is
Yeah,
here because I guess I'll go first because I have a little bit more more of a negative take. Obviously it's not my team, and so I understand like when it's your team you care more. But it just feels really bad having a content creator who is making so much great content about 100 Thieves, engaging the community, probably making the most out of everyone, like engaging the community when it comes to like between TikTok, YouTube, and everything. Like I do feel that whenever a topic is talked about, everyone goes to David's TikTok. Like Hex Tech Chests came back and there was like over 50,000 views within the first hour or something crazy like that on David's like TikTok. And so, should we just like add David for this one small segment?
yeah, go for it.
All
Go for
right,
it.
all right, sure. Yeah, let me could you add him to the call just so I don't screw over my camera
Yes,
settings? Yeah.
no Licorinos. Uh,
I should just turn off our cams for a second just to make the transition.
how do
Uh,
I? I've never done this before, but always bear with me.
ah, there we go. These are there we go. Okay. Sorry, still figuring stuff out.
Oh, well, did you say you're doing it? I'm
No, no, if
trying
you
to
could
figure
call
it
him,
out.
if you could call him. I'm trying to like set up the camera stuff.
Do you want me to call and then add you? Because I've never done this, by the way.
I think you can just I mean I can
Or
I
can
can
I
call him.
just?
Where
We have a DM, a group like us three. For I just want.
oh oh crap. Yeah, we can go do that. Let's go to the group call. Group chat.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. All right.
Look at these non-finals fans. Look at this.
Uh what on earth? Dude, the cameras are completely and entirely out of place. I have no idea what's going on. I'll fix it.
If you hear Slack pings at all, first and foremost, God bless Slack being back up today without issues.
Dude, it crashed
But
for us
apologies.
yesterday as well. It's horrible.
Luckily, everybody was in office yesterday for us, so I didn't really have any issues with it. We all just walked over to somebody's desk and like, "Hey, what's up?" But today, had it gone down, it would have been a problem.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this since I screwed this up somehow. Uh, how's your day been going, man?
Not
Thanks
too
for hopping
bad.
on.
Busy day of work. Uh, I don't think I'm at liberty to disclose people's schedules at my work, but things are getting busy for the next few weeks. So this week has kind of been like getting ready for that moment. which luckily we hit the off season, quote unquote, for like the next week and a half, which is great for me.
So you'll have more time to make content for First Stand, where probably NA
No,
teams aren't going to be
I'm
doing.
no, I'm gonna have time to work. Is what I'm gonna have time to do.
All
Luckily,
right, fair enough.
but it'll have no detrimental. Like I don't need to like overly work myself to get things out. I have no clue how I'm gonna do First Stand week itself. That's gonna be interesting, but
Don't worry, none of the NA teams know how to do that either.
does Team Liquid have somebody going out for like a TL update, like Ovally used to do?
No idea.
I hope so. I doubt it, but I hope so.
I always see Ben Zimmer with the team, so like he's the perfect guy to do it.
He's so good as well.
I know.
All right.
I hope they bring that series. That was my favorite part about TL going international from like 2018 to like 2022. Was like always getting that update video
Yeah, it
the
was
morning
fun.
of if they're out in Korea or China.
I'm excited
TL, if
for
you're
First Stand,
watching
even if
this,
it's 4
do it.
a.m.
I ain't staying up for that shit. We're in the middle of things that I can't be low on sleep for. So
That's fair. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so jealous about your mouse. I actually had to hit up someone like one of my friends at Res, like, can you do something for me? Because I'm so jealous about that mouse.
I didn't even know I should have mentioned on the video, but the signature on the right click is pretty sick.
All right, we're ready to talk.
All right, you ready to roast 100 Thieves? Go right ahead. Give me your worst.
All right. I think 100 Thieves fandom is growing. I think it's relatively in a good place in terms of like just the sentiment of the fans themselves. Not Reddit, not like actual 100 Thieves fans. In my Rec League AD carry, he's a 100 Thieves fan. He's more excited than he ever was before. I think you're doing an amazing job at like bringing the community to enjoy 100 Thieves for what they are, a very scrappy team that has a lot like really good hands. And who cares about macro? It's season 25, or I think that's what they're calling it, and you just fight all objectives. What feels really bad is the fact that management keeps taking steps to screw y'all over, to just make it harder for people to be your fans of the team. First and foremost, like, they're one step out. They're 2 feet out of the league. They wanted to leave, and it's by the grace of Riot that they're still here. And according to Mark Z, it was because we didn't want like so many changes. We wanted to keep at least a few stable brands. Like the 100 Thieves just went to Worlds. We don't want to lose them, right? And then I think President Melk comes out and says, if you want a league team, just follow. Like, if you want a league team that's committed, follow this other team. And then just like the constant comments that come out from higher management, from like what during the finals weekend, what Melk said again. I thought what Nadeshot was saying was very weird. Like, his response to the whole thing was like, yeah, you're right, and Azale, you're right as well. And I was like, okay, what is going on? It creates an environment where you're like, I don't have any faith in 100 Thieves staying. Why would I want to be a fan? And I understand why you're a fan, and you're constantly creating content for them and making them grow. But it feels like management is doing everything that they can to get out of league, while you guys are trying your hardest, and you're even coming up with these terms of like non-equity shareholder or whatever the term you came up with. Like, the content is good. Everybody's trying. The team is playing better than they've ever done. Everything is up and up, and it's just so hard to be excited for this team when it feels like you're just going to be gone. I feel like in a couple months we're going to hear what team is going to buy your slot. It really sucks.
Look, I mean, I'll tell you from my side, it's hard too. Like, it's hard for me to sit here and like fully, like, I've had to cut out like some of the around the org stuff that I typically do because I'm hesitant on like, are we gonna be here or not? Like, there is that worry in the back of your head no matter what. But it's also one of those that like, it's the Captain Jack Sparrow meme of going down with the ship. where it's like there is a nobility to a certain extent behind that. And like I would feel terrible about myself if I didn't see this through in the case that Riot does decide to keep them. Because to be clear, regardless of, I'm not saying I approve of management's choices in the past and like the things that have happened there, but like this is Riot's choice at the end of the day. Right? Could keep them in the league if they want to, unless Arsh wants to come out and confirm. Otherwise, I would keep repeating that. He sat here and said it's 100 Thieves' choice. You got to prove to me that it's their choice, brother, because they sold the spot back to Riot. Riot owns that. Riot chooses their fate. If Riot wants to keep them in the league, they can. But like, yeah, it sucks to not know what the future holds. But if you want, I can also explain to you that Nate Shot tweet, because that made a lot of sense to me. And I know it made a lot of sense to a lot of 100 Thieves fans, but I get why you wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
You're talking about the final tweet he had? I made
the one in reply to Azale, where he said he basically is like, Azale's right. This is an inside joke that we made all the time, type thing. The reason for that,
the freest layup he had in his life.
Oh, I know.
He could have just said to Team Liquid, "Look, why are you calling me a PDF?" Like, and then all the flack would have went on the champions that just like, and then you instantly put egg on his face.
It was there was nobody behind him. He had the ball above the rim already, and somehow hit his head on the backboard and fucked it all up. It's like, dude, how do you fumble a layup that easy? But look, the Nate Shot thing, the reason why he responded that to Azale, to my understanding, and the reason why you saw, I don't know if you still follow Hunter Talk, Jordan and Cole, like the OG dads of 100 Thieves. They did. Back in 2022, they stopped. They both had families. Life got busy. It made sense for them to take a step away. They came out and said the same thing, that they felt like the cast was a little much. The reason why there's a lot of resentment towards the broadcast staff and a lot of the people at Riot is because even early on, especially that 2018 spring split, whenever 100 Thieves like had their issues, but they still finished second the entire time. It felt like they
season.
Yeah. The amount of time that they got spent being talked about relative to CLG, TSM, EL, the legacy Cloud9, the legacy orgs that have been around, because C9 had that falter as well where they weren't looking great. It felt like they were being ignored. And then on the flip side of that, whenever the wheels did fall off, there was some criticism, but it wasn't the same level of like discussion of how does this brand rebound? How do they get back? It felt like there's this crew that does unintentionally, but does favor the old guard and the people that have been around, and doesn't give as objective of analysis, narrative, time. Time is the biggest thing. You can ask any 100 Thieves fan. We would tune into the dive for a long period of time and count the minutes that we'd be talked about because it was so low compared to everybody else, despite being good at times. Even during our run where we won a title, it felt like it wasn't as much hype and excitement as even one-offs would occasionally get elsewhere. So there's this harboring resentment that's been there for years that in these moments when it really pops up again, does spill over. Now, do I think people were validated to go at Azale for that cast? No. Because if you go back and you rewatch my co-stream of it, I'm sitting there worried about the same damn things that Azale is talking about. If we fall behind in the slightest, this game flips over to FlyQuest. We had already gotten smashed in game one. I don't think it's as bad as people were making it out to be, but the problem is you have those years of resentment alongside that tack onto it. And I know that's a shared opinion, not only by 100 Thieves, but by some other teams as well. I was talking to some people within Dignitas that, at the watch party this past weekend. Wasn't directly said, but it's like they understood.
I will say, I thought the most egregious time that this happened was last split. Not the split, but the just ended, but during in the summer. I know you guys weren't like, you won one game and then lost 4 or something, and there were only 7 games, so it wasn't that great. But like, you had the reigning MVP. you should have at least been talked about. Oh, like, why is 100 Thieves faltering rather than like, oh, they're just the bottom of the team. Like, no, they finished second in regular season and now they're second last. Like, something is going on with this team that we should probably talk. And I think Monty made a very good point. He's like, why are we not talking about our MVP being on a bottom, like tied for seventh? Why are we not talking about that? But like I said, or like you said, I didn't feel like the cast against FlyQuest was in any way like biased. I felt like he was in game 3 was really giving you guys the credits. Game 2, he was worried. He was like, the Scion has 700 health from his passive alone. Like, how are you ever going to
Game
kill
2
him
is
with
the
your
one where
comp?
people have a problem. I haven't seen anybody have a problem with game 3 because I think he definitely corrected come that time. But it was like the first 15, 20 minutes of game 2 where we did have leads. We had one oopsie midway through, but we were doing the things that you need to do with that comp to be able to win. And it was just like the focus felt like it was more on FlyQuest, which again, I get. They're the league favorites. LCS broadcasters always tend to like play on the favorite dropping the ball rather than the underdog coming up a little bit more. That's always kind of been a thing. But I didn't think it was all that egregious, personally.
Same.
I don't think more needs to say about 100 Thieves though, because like you can't not prop up a team at all, and then they make finals and they're like, shit. Well, like now we have to make all these like narratives in a day, and like you only have like 30 minutes to talk about them in the like the post game thing they do.
Spent so much time talking about FlyQuest this entire split, so that whenever your god is not there, it's like, oh, did you put in that due diligence with the other teams to be ready in the case that FlyQuest didn't make it? No, I don't think we fully did.
I guess just to hark back to the beginning of how we started this topic, there's like a very strange sense of despair with this team where it's like, look, you guys make it to the finals. You guys are improving every single split. You finished 4th, 3rd, and now 2nd. And it really feels like there's just no support from your org. And it's like the players fighting for their careers, for their lives, because who knows who's going to buy the team, if they're going to be hired, if they're not. Like, Ayla's playing actually good League of Legends. Like, you won a couple of the swaps when 100 Thieves are not supposed to have macro. It just feels like you guys, the players, the team is doing everything right. And you're not being rewarded for it in any way, shape, or form because of the situation that you're put in.
I don't disagree. It's just one of those that like, what can you do about it? Like, we as 100 Thieves, like, there's nothing we can do. We can just sit here and try and talk about the game, and we worry about our future just as much as everybody else. But it's like, when you can't control it, I get it's like, by all means, I'm the guy that talks about the business side of things and loves like breaking down the industry stuff. But even for me, I'm sitting here like, I just want to know already. I'd rather not talk about it at all until we know at this point. I've beaten the point that I want over everybody's head at this point, that I would just become annoying and piss people off the more I say it. But like, you kind of just have to ignore it and keep going. And there's a ton of reasons to be excited about this team, especially going into split 2 if we do get best of 3. Like, it's going to be great. Despite what management would, have other people believing, etc. We've learned, I say we, collective 100 Thieves, even though I'm not the voice for everybody. But like, I've seen enough messages to know that people just kind of like tune out. It's like, okay, whatever you say, fine. Whatever. We're going to keep doing us.
I mean, that's my biggest problem with organizations that aren't the big ones. I know 100 Thieves are the big ones, but about the old guard is, don't show up when your team makes finals. Show up when they're finishing 10th place in LCS and you're not even acknowledging their existence. And then, oh, look, here's a Marvel Rivals team. But like, that's what really annoys me. And one thing I respect about Jack is, even when we're terrible, he's still retweeting everything. He's always trying to praise our players, even if we're like dog shit. And like, that's what really frustrates me. And like, it links to Cloud's team as well. It's like, I can guarantee if they're good next year, they'll suddenly lug with his post stream in the games, and all these videos will be appearing about their team. But like, you need owners that are true to like the LTA. Like, they actually care, because Nation cared at the start. Like, he knew the shit. He was already like flaming C9 when I think they beat him in one of their first games. and like he really marketed it on these like tiles with courage and stuff. And years gone by, he didn't even. I don't even know if he acknowledged their team went to Worlds last year.
Courage was an optic at that time. Thank you very much.
That's what was entry. That's what. Yeah, yes, because they had the optic 100 Thieves.
That was even late. That was even that was the first season. But like to timestamp that was when Courage won $70,000 from Mr. Beast on Fortnite. That was back then.
Those are the days.
That's a throwback, yeah. Do you think 100 Thieves know that Noah Lyles is like a fan of the org?
Yes. Well, that video that they put out with like Noah Lyles hyping up the team, that was all intentional. They did a merch drop with it. If you saw, he was wearing a shirt that had like a 100 Thieves logo that we hadn't seen. And conveniently, the next day, they also reveal a big merch drop with, I forget whoever, it wasn't my cup of tea for merch. So like I didn't really pay attention to it. But it's like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this isn't just like you randomly tweeting out support. You're at a photo shoot for a 100 Thieves thing and got a message out for the team, which by all means, like, great, still is. Like, that's a good collaboration. You want to do stuff like that. But yeah, they're very well aware. That video, I would imagine, might have had more views than Nadeshot's entire co-stream of the finals. But
I actually need to go back and watch that co-stream to see if he's even like paying attention half the time.
I don't want to pay attention. I don't want to know. I don't want to. I'm going to bury my head in the sand on that one.
I will say that I've seen a lot of people appreciate your positivity. And when you do become negative, which we're in an environment where it's like really hard to stay positive, you get a lot of flack for it. And he's like, you're supposed to be the guy that's like the positive beacon of the community. And it's like, yeah, I can only take so much.
York needs to give him reasons to be positive, though. And the only thing that's making him positive is the on the Rift like performances.
Yeah, I mean, my negativity at the moment honestly comes from the league itself, not 100 Thieves. Like at the end of the day, I could live in blissful ignorance until that Riot announcement comes out and just ignore the impending doom. But like, it's very difficult to manage the line of like my team's popping off and doing great. At the same time, we're losing 100,000 people of viewership. So it's like I got to be able to switch hats of like one moment. We're the best. Fuck FlyQuest. Fuck everybody. We're going to take down TL. We should be on even footing going into this series. Argue with Azale on Twitter, all that nonsense. And then at the same time, swap over and be like, okay, but here's the structural issues of the problems that we're having. You throw in the Hex Tech chest, drama, all at the same time. It's like there's this perfect cloud for the last 2 months, a negativity just festering everywhere. That maybe now going into split 2, I can just finally relax and be like optimist Andy, positive guy, as long as we delete ES Charts as a website.
My only worry with if the announcement came out is that's it for the broadcast. You won't even like it'd be like if you like WWE when somebody leaves the company, they don't even acknowledge their like that character's existence anymore. Like,
how's your old mid laner doing again?
Oh,
that's the thank you tweet out.
We're waiting to knock him out in internationals. if we can get there ourselves.
Good luck with that.
I'm happier now than I was last year. I'll put it that way.
Look, when do you think that announcement comes? When do you think Riot finally decides?
Decides 100 Thieves?
End of the year, or once you're eliminated.
That's not what Mark Z said.
I actually can't remember what he said. You have to refresh me.
He said on Hotline League they want to have a determination out sooner rather than later because they don't want the spot sitting in limbo forever.
Oh, the thing is, what do you do if no one wants to buy it? That would be like who's
hear me out.
Who's going to buy it? Okay.
Repeat after me. Non-equity long-term partner.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to go Mr. Beast.
Oh, dude, that shit's going to fall into my lap. I'll say this right here. There are very few things I would move out of like the New York metro area for. I would go back down to North Carolina in a heartbeat if Mr. Beast buys that slot and you can bring me in and let's grow this shit all day.
I'm let's grow.
Mr. Beast, give me money. We'll open a bar. How I Met
Giants
Your Mother.
championship already.
We buy a bar, and then we just dude. I sell out to the fullest. I genuinely believe that if Mr. Beast bought that slot, it would be amazing. But I don't think he should, because what's the value of an LTA spot right now?
At its lowest, right?
It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. What are you paying $10 million for? Tell me tangibly what you need to pay $10 million for.
It's not going for 10 million. It's
Apparently
probably going
5
for half.
YouTube videos and no tweets on the LTA playoffs.
Tell me what I need to pay $1 million for. What is that $1 million going towards right now?
Just through a
For some
business
teams, 4
model,
games.
you have a Mr. Beast brand. You grow this. You get a sponsor for it. You grow the spot. You grow the league. You triple your money. You sell it. Now, is it worth his time and effort? Absolutely not. One video makes way more money than whatever he could with the LTA spot. But if it's like a passion project, I can see it.
But why charge him? If you want Mr. Beast in, make him a
pay him.
long-term non-equity partner. Like what in what world do you charge somebody to come into a league that is seeing 6-figure viewership decline? That makes no sense to me.
But if he makes it to international, he'll have millions of viewers. League is actually growing year over year.
But why do you need to charge him to do that? You hold
Give it
all
to
the
him.
if you're Riot, you hold all the power.
Mhm.
You don't have to charge anybody anything right now.
But the other owners are going to be so sad.
Fuck the other owners. I do
mean,
not
they've
give
been
a
doing that for
shit
a while.
about
These are the same owners that wanted Best of Ones to promote their content,
They
and
did
then
not.
they have no
That is
content.
BS. Okay, I'll say this publicly. That comment is a twisting of the truth. I'll put it that way.
But Smithy defended it
He was the
with
only
Thorin
one.
and Monty. It doesn't when only one owner speaks, he speaks for the collective until somebody else speaks out.
C9
That's
came
how
out and
it
said we
works.
didn't want that. There's a second owner, right?
C9,
Shopify
okay, great.
came out
C9
and said
doesn't-
we didn't want to do that.
Okay, but
That's
my
two.
thing is, C9 actually put out the content node that they promised that they were going to promote their games with. No one else is doing it. Like, yes, if you want Best of Ones, show me why you want Best of Ones. You're going to make the most of your time promoting your games. Like, how long has some of these teams had off and they've not released one video? Like, C9 didn't have their players and they had Emily Rand and Razom. Like,
That was
what
great.
It was.
and that was one of the highest viewed podcasts this year.
Not surprised. I will say this: if there's a whole focus on getting more like content for your teams, they are doing less for media. They're straight up teams are doing less media. There wasn't even a finals press conference before. If you lost the game, you were guaranteed like at least a couple of interviews by the losing team. They got rid of that requirement. Maybe it's just for this split. But the thing is, like, if it's really because of media and then these teams go around and don't accept media, you're not doing it yourself. You're not letting external media do it. I don't know. It sounds like it's all talk to me.
It's also a big problem when our biggest players can't even tweet. Like, I actually made a TikTok on this the other day. Yon has done 10 tweets his entire career. And I think 3 of them are from this weekend, or past weekend.
Raz brought that up on Hotline League this past week, and I greatly appreciated him saying it because I've been dying for somebody to point it out. It's like what are we doing? Come on.
These players don't care.
They're
I'm
gonna
just
care. They're gonna care in 2 years whenever all of their paychecks go away.
And like, how many LEC teams are picking up these players? You could probably say from like the top 4, you'll be lucky to grab a couple of players from these teams. Like, you go down that list, no one's picking up a dig player. And maybe outside of Soy, and even then, I don't think he gets picked up by an LEC team.
And why would you want to move to Berlin from LA?
Because what other, like, the reality is, are you chasing a passion? Because if so, then they'll go over to Europe and try it.
No,
but
my
if they're
point is,
chasing the money, they'll go to college.
No, my point is, if you have the opportunity to not let the league die and stay where you want to stay and like make more money, why are you just destroying it and be like, oh, just go to the next region, like, and compete for their spots in a place that's foreign to me without my family and friends and like everything that keeps me sane from
this
playing
is
this game.
the reality if this league collapses. Like, it's Brazil or LEC.
It's not
And-
if
It ain't
it
Brazil.
collapses. It is
It ain't
collapsing.
Brazil.
Okay,
Brazil wants fuck all to do with us. Like, it ain't gonna be Brazil.
maybe not the NA players specifically, but I know a few. They will be looking at those Korean players and saying, they're our next stars."
Do the
'Cause
Koreans
Brazil
even
do
want to go
like-
to Brazil? Like, let's say
what choice
FlyQuest
would they have?
disbands. If Quad
I could
Quad's just
see
gonna
a-
go back to LCK, he'll go to LPL. He'll get a better offer in LPL. Why would he play for LCK?
I could see Core in CBLOL for some reason. I could just like picture Core JJ in the
Core,
Brazilian team.
sure, but like I think he's the exception, not the rule. I think most Koreans would just go back either to LCK CL and then make their way up, or go to LPL.
Mm.
But to your point, it's wild that nobody tweets. It's wild that there is like zero, what feels like zero promotion and zero buy-in from the players on this front. Like, we are past the point where you can sit here and say, me winning is enough to drive attention. We had the best performance we've arguably ever had as a region at Worlds last year, and viewership dropped a lot. So you can blame that on the rebrand. You can blame it on whatever. Players do bear that weight as well. You bear the weight of marketing the league, your team, yourself, and everything else around it. So, no, you going to Worlds and performing well is not going to cut it. Never has, but maybe you'll finally be under the reality that it never will.
One day it's really gonna hit like crack when this league doesn't exist, and like, because half these players don't have, like, if the LCS collapsed in like 2016, like Sneaky, Double F, Bjergs, and like they're all absolutely fine. And even like the top level TSM players, C9 players, COG players at the time, they'd all have like perfectly good streaming careers because at the time it was watchable content. Now, like, when I spoke to Busio, he said it's on fans, players, and management to fix this. Maybe
What?
not
He
fans.
said that?
But in my interview, he said it's on everyone to fix this sinking ship.
Well, okay. If he says everyone, then he's including himself and the players.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
mentioned.
He's
He
saying,
mentioned
like,
how like he's
he's
streaming
saying,
too.
like,
Okay.
he streams every day or frequently and only gets like a couple hundred viewers. And
Yeah.
he even admits to himself, like, that's not enough because there's players worse than him, players on like lower teams that wouldn't even get like, well, I think you said it yesterday, David, like they wouldn't even get your viewers.
So, okay, great. For the viewers that don't understand why, let's go through that mental exercise. Why is why is Busio just streaming not enough?
Well, firstly, like players need personality to like because Soti does. I don't know if he does now, but he added like for a long time. This player that's so hyped up didn't even have his camera on. So like half the players in the league didn't even know, like fans in the league didn't even know who Soti looks like.
Okay,
That's
so
just a big problem.
part one, they're not keeping up with modern content standards when it comes to streaming. Great. What about how Twitch operates as a platform? You're like the secret to making it on Twitch is to be live at the right times that you can benefit from other people going offline. In an ideal world, every pro is streaming at the time that Kadril goes offline, on the off chance that Kadril raids you. That happens enough, you start building a following, and you start climbing up the funnel because everything just slowly filters down on Twitch. That's been the secret forever. That was the Optic secret back in Black Ops 2 and like those days, is they would time their streams so that when Scump, who had already built up a massive following, got offline, he was able to filter it to the other players. And that built up so many names in the space as time went on and created some of the personalities that we have now. You can't just go live and not play the game of Twitch and expect to grow. You have to know how that works. It's fine if you don't have time to do that. That's fine. But then your job becomes back to the content front. You need to be doing something that stands out, that attracts people to your stream. But you're also not going to attract people to your stream by just streaming. You need to post those clips on TikTok, on YouTube, on everywhere else. Because if you just stream to a certain amount of viewers, there's only so much word of mouth you can do. So without doing all those and just hitting the go live button every now and then, how do you grow on Twitch? You can't. And we're still in the same situation that we're in now.
I'll give two things. Sorry, I'll give two things that Busio could do today that would double his viewership or double the amount of like eyes on FlyQuest. One, which is probably the easier one, is get an editor, have him post the videos like what Bippo does, and just have it on YouTube. And YouTube, the platform of YouTube is like, hey, we're going to share it with the people that care. With Twitch, it's like, hey, you're live. It's up to you to bring people to your channel, whether it's through rating, whether it's through different means. People are not going to find you. You have to go and find them. So originally already there, if you just get like someone to edit your stuff and put it on YouTube, and tell people, hey, I stream, after our games. Number two, which is might actually be the easier one rather than paying someone, you just start a YouTube channel and you start your videos once a week, like after your games, you just do a game recap. You just do a game recap talking to the camera. Doublelift did this. It was getting like hundreds of thousands of views. It was getting more viewership than his actual like streaming. Sneaky did it for a while. It was great. I don't know why he stopped doing it. But overall, you just talk to the camera and you let people hear your thoughts about the game the way you want. You set your own narratives, which already helps you in your career, and people become interested to watch you play the game so that they can hear your thoughts after the games. I think either one of those two things, and then obviously the third thing would be clipping, but you already mentioned that. Like take those clips and have them live somewhere and not die because now nothing lives on Twitch anymore.
I guess like looking into like this myself at the time when I was interested in streaming, like the talented graphic designers aren't that like expensive, and these players live decent salaries. Like, all like if you look at like Dom's thumbnails, like they're very good. They're very like catchy. All you need is firstly, even if it's just stream highlights or the entire VOD, just get someone that can immediately boost your like viewership by or like your YouTube like following by having really good thumbnails.
And by the way,
Because
usually the way this works is that you actually pay them a percentage rather than like a flat fee. So like if Busio's like, hey, I don't want to use my salary, like I don't know if I have a job in 2 years, you could say, hey, go to editor, be like, hey, here's a YouTube channel. This is my viewership, my average viewership. I have like a good following. I will give you a certain percentage, even if it has to start off with 100%. I know I will dominate when he started, got an editor. He gave him 100%. I think LS as well did that. It was 100% of all the profits you get on the YouTube that motivates the editor to do a better job on your YouTube videos. And then as you grow, you can then renegotiate the contract and be like, hey, now that it's grown, we can renegotiate if you make, 50-50 split or whatever you want to do. There are ways of doing this without like massive money investments. I'm actually of the opinion that FlyQuest should get an editor for just highlight streams, and he should work with the channels, with all the FlyQuest channels. Every one of them should have a channel because they all stream except for Inspired. I guess Maso as well. So 3 of them stream. They should have channels where all the clipping, everything is done by the editor, and the editor gets paid from FlyQuest directly. Because at the end of the day, when your players are brands and people care about their players, they're gonna watch them play, and that's gonna affect your sponsors, your deliverables, your like numbers and everything.
Soccer clubs do this. They hire graphic designers specifically for their pre-match graphics. So they're out every single day, like an hour before match day. Like, boom, here's the team sheet. Like, that's it. And I think the thing is, like, okay, maybe they don't want to use the salary, but like the risk and reward is, to me, worth it. The reward is you may have a future in this league. Like, you may have a future if this league collapses. Like, if you earn enough as a content creator to like make up for like your salary eventually, because you've built up such a good brand while you're a player, it's not going to sting as much if you do lose your job.
The player I would tell every middling, like not top tier pro to look at, and I tried in the last 10 minutes to find any of his YouTube content, but I think he deleted his channel, so I cannot figure it out. Acadian. Never was never a top tier jungler in the league. Yes, he made finals back in 2019 with TSM when him and Greg were like swapping out, and there was that whole thing. But like never really kind of entered that upper echelon. He released the exact vlogs that you're talking about every time. Either him sitting in his room or in his car. They would get tens of thousands of views every single time. They were so low quality, but it was great. It was old school esports. What is he doing now?
He's a trainer.
Yeah. But it wasn't enough for him. I mean, granted, he probably chose to go elsewhere
Yeah, he said
and
he
didn't
didn't
really
want
put
to.
as much into it. But like realistically, I don't know if it would have even had he kept that up. I don't know if it would have been enough. And he was already doing 10 times more than almost every pro in the LTA North is doing right now. Like you couldn't, if you're one of these players and you posted a video to YouTube, the odds of you getting over 400 views right now, Shopify Rebellion can't even get over 300 currently on their vlog series on their channel. Like you're not going to be able to do it. But you got to it takes a ton of time and a ton of effort, but you still got to try.
I mean, you'll
Like you
get
can't let that
there.
discourage you.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
get
eventually.
there.
Like we all started off. We all were at that point. The first year of all of our channels, if we could hit 100 views, bro, it was the best feeling in the world. It was great.
It
You felt so
was. It
good
really
about
was.
yourself. And then it would dip back under 100 and you feel like shit. And it's like, why?
Mm.
Why am I doing this? I'm failing. I suck at content. I should quit and give up forever. And it's like, no, pause, take a step back, learn, improve, and go from there. And then you get to where you are now.
That's what I'm looking at with like my team specifically. Is I'm not looking at the viewership these videos again. I'm looking at, is their subscriber count going up? And every day I'm checking, it's going up. And while it's not like, I think okay, like 10,000 views, okay, pretty decent. Let me go and check Fanatics. 50, 60, their voice comms. Like, who the fuck watches voice comms in LTA? Like our voice comm against TO, I know we lost, but it's like 2,000. Fnatic is like, he had like 2,000 within like the first 5 minutes when like Fnatic was releasing their voice comms. It's absurd.
Our voice comm videos for 100 Thieves typically 3.6K against Pain, 7.4 against TL and C9, 2.8K. Like it's right around the same, yeah.
I feel bad because these voice comms are like 20 minutes long every time with C9 now. Like they are trying. It's just with the voice comms specifically, I don't really care to watch them. So
let me ask this: how would you fix it? Because we've offered a lot of criticism. We've said what the players could do. If you were in charge of C9, you are above Portillo, okay, and you're like, okay, this is our plan.
The podcast more because they're making a couple of decently edited like shorts of it, but
they're barely doing that.
That's what I mean. Like, but they're like, I would be clipping up every day. Like, as many marketable like shorts you can make out of that one video, you squeeze it until there is no more to squeeze on that. That'd be like at least for the podcast. They don't do any other content really. I don't think they do too much like behind the scenes stuff anymore. Like, cause I don't think really any team does. Like,
well, they did a few things with the Narrow when they were in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't they do like a taste testing thing?
Yeah, like trying Brazilian food. Yeah,
that was actually quite a funny video. But like, I think they need to squeeze more from their podcast because they clearly have identified we have good talkers. We're going to be doing podcasts the entire time. Then they're going to be like releasing 2 or 3 of these a week. So,
what about you?
I think they've started the route with like going to other avenues like Facebook and Instagram. Outside of that, I'm not sure how we would improve on what we have been doing.
I think you guys have been doing a good job. For myself, if I was above Portillo, I would do 2 things.
No, brother. You got to answer on your own org. You can't answer for him.
Oh, okay.
His org's already doing it.
Can I just say, so in my opinion, Optic is like the standard of like what you should be doing for content. C9 is, I would say, like, compared to the rest of the league, they're absolutely wiping the floor with them. But if you compare this to Optic, they're doing the bare minimum. And like, if you want to set standards, you have to do more than what you're doing now, which is absurd because I assume that they are overworked. They're doing the best they can, and it's evident in how much they're putting out. Like, I think Aniro just tweeted like a few minutes ago, like they're recording content today. Like,
yeah. I mean, my favorite.
You look at the rest of the league, and it's depressing me.
Here's a good question. How many videos do you think the Optic Audio Network, not even their main channel, not the Call of Duty channel, the Optic Audio Network? Is that the one with like Hitch and stuff? Like Hitch is involved. So here's the thing. Optic has like a good core of like Call of Duty people that like appear on everything. So the main channel will have Scump, Crim6, Hitch, Hex. The audio network will have a mix. Like that's where their players only podcast is, which video just came out 4 hours ago and I need to listen to. How many videos do you think they put out this month?
I'm gonna say 23
on audio. 23. I mean, I appreciate you shooting for the stars.
Dude, but they post so much. I don't check it, but it wouldn't surprise me because if you look on their other like channels, they're just like pumping them out.
I think including like the short form content, sure, but probably not just long form, like the audio thing. My guess is
11.
Go ahead.
11. There's 11 podcasts released this month alone, and that's a combination of the Flycast, which is Hitch and Maniacs thing, the Optic podcast, which is like an org-wide thing, and Gamecast, which is just the players. And the players haven't won a single map in a month. And they're still releasing the podcast every week, which is just great. Like there is no team in the LCS that would even think about that. And then on their main channel, it's like on the Optic Gaming channel, 1, 2, 3, I'm counting about 12 videos on the main channel, separate from all their independent stuff. The one 2 days ago getting 132,000 views.
That's crazy because C9 have done 17 videos this month, and this is including because they do Club 9 specific, so you have to be signed up to the Club 9, and they literally, I think today is the end of their poll, so they do like a weekly or like monthly poll of like which team do you want us to do an extra podcast for, and it was between the COD team, Valorant team, and League team. League team crushed it, so like we're getting another League podcast soon. And I think I said this to Cloudlet last week, is like C9 has more videos than the rest of the top 4 combined on YouTube. And that's really depressing to hear because like I pointed back to, like if you want to be like their levels of like these LEC teams and like Optic, you're doing above average, but you could still be doing more based on what you've seen the elites on like content do.
To your question, what would I do with Shopify? If I was above Melissa, who's like, I guess our Portillo in this analogy, I probably don't have enough sway to change player contracts. I would definitely add streaming into their contracts, but I know Palafox streams. I know the players play solo queue. I would probably first thing I would do is I would get an editor specifically just for player streams and solo queue, and once a week on the channel, kind of like what Optic used to do. I don't know if they still do it. I don't watch their channel anymore, but I would actually have like just highlights of the team play, of like solo queue, of stream, plays or like funny moments, stuff like that. I would be constantly posting on shorts, on YouTube shorts and TikTok, like every single day. And I would get heavily involved with like what is happening in the world. Like when Drake does something, or like when Kendrick does something in the Super Bowl, and like I know that Contracts cares about football, and he's watching the game, I'm getting a clip out there with Contracts talking about that. Whatever is like actively happening. Hextech chests, there's no reason that the pros aren't talking about it. I just get them to talk about the game. I start a podcast with the players, kind of like what Cloud9 does with, is it called C9 Forecast? I'd probably start that.
Yeah.
And I'd have like a rotating guest so that every time it's like fresh. And then I do content even when we lose. So like first stand is happening. Every day after the games, I would have at least one of our players, ideally with like one Shopify player and then another player, and just like review NA's games or review EU's games and talk about why NA is greater than EU, or if EU upset like Korea, for example, talk about what they did well, just like actively involve in the games at all times in the league atmosphere. I would have Shopify just make more content that is relevant to the time and like be faster with it. That's what I would do.
So my counterpoint to that is I would do that same international thing, but I wouldn't be doing it with their players unless they actively want to. I'd be doing it with like what C9 did with like Raz and Emily Rand, because like okay, let's just say we're all in budget LCS and you two just slap the shit out of me. If my manager says to me, you now have to go do content for David's team promoting them, I'm like, fuck off. Like
you're being paid, like you're being paid for it. It's not an option. It's not like we're in a low budget LCS. You are being paid a full time. Your housing is taken care of. Your food. People come clean your room. You don't even know how to use a washer and
No, but
dryer.
how many times
Like,
do the
come on,
players
man.
actively like fulfill like these things? Like if they had said, "Oh, do you want to do content today?" Not really. I wouldn't be surprised me how many of these players probably turn their nose up at content when
They
they're meant
shouldn't
to.
have an option
Like I remember,
anymore.
like I know it's a different game. But do you remember like the Busio clip? That was hilarious when um he actively went out on the org because they had to do content and he just wanted to play.
They shouldn't have
Yep.
an option. Like at this point, if you want your job, I don't think you can be picky. If we were having 300,000
I think
like average viewers, I'd be like, sure, I can see why they don't want to, brother.
I have no info on this, but it wouldn't surprise me if the C9 players do have like some streaming incentives this year because like
They all
I
just started out of
All five
nowhere.
of them, I
yeah
know,
Like
right?
they're all
like
doing it.
like Blabber who has never streamed in his life at like in the regular season just suddenly starts streaming. It's like okay, they're like good on them for like if they do have it that they're enforcing it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't do it with the players and like unless they actively want to or like you said enforce them. But I never really I've it leads probably to good content if players don't actively want to do it.
So I will say one of the things I feel like I've personally failed on pretty heavily in content is gameplay stuff. I like there are so many people that have watched that have now gotten into the low budget LCS as I've been like tweeting about it and talking about it. I cannot find a way to get that content out there on my channel without it like tanking viewership because it's not like endemic to the content that I natively put out, which is more conversation based rather than gameplay based. But like also I just don't have the time for it. I do not have time to cut up those series and make them digestible in any way, shape, or form. I tried paying an editor once, like way back when, and the views just weren't great. That it's like I knew it wouldn't be sustainable, so I like stopped it quick. But like I think a lot about how like if I were to join 100 Thieves, what would I want to do? Like the same question I asked you guys about for 100 Thieves. And my logic would be we have 4 videos out a week on the main channel, minimum. Monday would basically be I would want to do 2 vlogs personally. So the big thing I would want a podcast each and every week that I can host with myself and whether it's the players or whatever, I know they're not good on camera. So I'm just under the assumption that the players don't want to be in content organically. But basically 2 vlogs, 1 podcast, 1 gameplay challenge type video each and every week. And the vlogs would come out on Tuesday and Friday each and every week. Friday because it shows like I would have everything leading up to the games that weekend and kind of have it serve as a trailer. And then Tuesday would allow us to talk about everything that's happened on the weekend as well as the fallout 24 hours afterwards to try and like have that story all the way through. And my job is simply to like be at the compound every single day, like I'm working a 9 to 5 job with a camera, just recording content, vlog footage, like doing one-off videos elsewhere and like helping promote wherever I can. And find a way to work player personalities into that. If they are not naturally going to do it, like Danny, who's the camera person at 100 Thieves, like I know her job is like to be like the camera person and be around and go and capture it. That's also different than being a content creator. As a content creator, I can kind of be the one that like ushers them in front of the camera. Or like if they aren't willing to be there, I will like fill the dead space in whatever way that I can because I know that I can yap forever. We can find a way to edit that down and make it work. Have like Friday, players are out playing or are in playing. Fine, we're hosting a party. We're going to do stuff. Like every Friday should be, or every Tuesday or whatever day you want to do it. Gossip Girl rule. Number 1 rule of every episode of Gossip Girl why am I forgetting her name right now? May she rest in peace. Georgina from Gossip Girl, the girl that just passed away yesterday.
Oh, the Gossip Girl passed away.
Not the main girl, but she's like one of the side ones. She was also I'm forgetting her name, and I'm so sorry for.
The Michelle something?
Yeah.
I forget the last name. It's a really long one, but yeah.
But the rule of Gossip Girl was every episode had to end in a party. You're telling the story of a week that ends in a party, which is like the culmination of events where drama would happen. Same thing, like you have to build every vlog towards like something at the end, some big action that like resolves. And whether that's like on Fridays, the suspense of the weekend to come, or Tuesday is like, I don't know. I think of like just the kind of like lingering feeling of like what's to come, like a successful weekend, the party that was, or the downside that was, and like you're trying to pick people up. Just something to get people involved in the brand, the team, beyond just the gameplay. Because then you have 2 other videos that will talk about the gameplay and show gameplay as well. And like in those vlogs, like I can use that to promote other people within 100 Thieves. I find a way to brand our low budget LCS team as like 100 Thieves, like subsidiary, like the shitty Thieves or something like that.
That's funny.
And we have players react to our shitty league 100 Thieves gameplay clips and like have like the team like roast the shit out of our team. It'd be great content. And like I'm there to like take the feedback. So like there's dynamic discussion between us where like, you know, FBI is in there like, dude, why the fuck are you Varus ulting here when it should be here? I was like, dude, I'm under pressure here, under the gun, just trying to hit an ult. He's like, you've never played in front of 10,000 fans. Shut the fuck up and hit your ult. Like that would be great content. Like the possibilities of that are endless. And it promotes them. It gets the content side as well, so that we can help push that. And like it's just it all works together.
I was actually just looking at the channel. Where's episode 2 of Hot Takes? Like that stuff started at the start of the month. We haven't seen one since.
Told that it would be, I forget what the response was. Danny replied to it that it's not a weekly thing. I think they said it might have been bi-weekly or like twice or split or I don't know. It disappeared.
Because I just added up all of the collected, like, and obviously like you'll know about this more. Like you guys will know as well with me. Like minutes doesn't actually equate to like anything meaningful. But like, why is the total number of minutes of 100 Thieves videos for the entire split just barely over 2 C9 episodes? Like for this year, like 2 C9 forecasts equates to the entirety of 100 Thieves content on YouTube. I'm just ruined, David. I'm so sorry.
That's why I like Cloud9 streaming. It's because, like, look, you can't have good content if you don't have the camera running. At some point, you need the camera running. And I think, like, what you guys are doing with just, like, having the longer you talk on a podcast, the more clips you're going to get. You might get 1 instead of 0. Like, it's just, that's how it works.
I think they just fully understand their dynamic. Like Meteos is the perfect. I think David mentions he's the perfect buffer. I would get his ass off the dive. I'm sorry, I don't watch that anymore.
I have a Cloud9 fan that agrees with me. Yes,
dude.
I'm not on my island.
I was meant to reply to this yesterday. This like as soon as he said, "I'm putting Cloud9 first." Nope. Video off. I ain't watching this. Like. I find it like he has to defend. Like he's paid by Jack. It's obvious. Like fair play. I am so happy he's with our org again because for a while I didn't think it was gonna happen. But I don't like him on the dive. And then it's a bit of a tangent. I don't like biased when I'm trying to listen to have my own conversations about things, and I just don't want to hear if we were like now. This split, like how we've performed, where it's like it's a little bit up in the air who's actually the best, like TL outside of that finals. But like I didn't want to hear last year after we were so shit. Oh, I'm ranking Cloud9 first. Like, go out of here, man.
I actually like Meteos on the. It gives like team representation, which is something that I really wanted on the dive. It's like I would really like the teams to set their own narratives, because a lot of times people just say, oh, on the dive they said this, and like I actually like the fact that he was a player first and foremost, and then yeah, like every now and then his like C9 allegiance comes out, and I mean as someone who has allegiances of his own,
add Jet to the group. Add Jet or
Emily.
someone.
Emily. Why the fuck is Emily not on a consistent Riot podcast? Unless she doesn't want to. If she does not want to, by all means, I don't want to.
If I had to guess, it would be that. If I had to guess, like, I don't have any insider information, but that's like.
But she loved doing. To my understanding, she loved doing riff reactions with Travis for Spotify. Also, where's Primetime League at? That made its rounds on Twitter this past week because the tweet that Kangas tweeted out and Manny was promoting.
Yeah.
Bro, we have more international events than ever. How is there not like on the LoL Esports channel like a 20-minute catch up on everything around LoL Esports show?
Dude, Cadrill was doing this at Worlds and getting hundreds of thousands of views. And I'm like, why is Riot not hiring Cadrill or hiring like pros from the region and having them talk about the like do something? Like he's giving you the blueprint.
And they wasn't even doing this for. Sorry to cut you off. Like they were doing that for fun back in the day. Like they weren't doing that to like they were doing like this or that segments, and that's where it spawned from. Like the golden age of like primetime
Where is
league.
this and that?
It's just like it's. Probably in the
Kobe and
same
he was like,
drawer
"It's on
as your.
hiatus."
Where's Are You Smarter then? Where's like any? Oh,
They're going. Yeah, they're spending.
They cost money, David. They cost money.
bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm calling fucking BS on that one till it did. Like, yes,
give me a whiteboard and just do content.
it costs money to buy a phone. Agreed. And a microphone that connects into your phone. Agreed. Been there, done that, own it. There is zero reason why you can't be putting out consistent content on that front. They have the personalities. Don't tell me that you have to use this fancy ass studio. You don't. But you also can't just do it in Discord before people try and like do like the standard when you put something out on the Riot channel is not what all of us here have as an expectation. But I promise you can get that quality from your phone.
I just thought of a really funny thought. So Loki has only played one best of 3 in the LTA studio, and he's going into his second split. Because he played in the basement. And then won his basement game, so he never got to play in the LTA studio again.
I mean, I can't comment on that because that goes against a point that I'm going to be making in a video tomorrow. Which now, to be clear, for context, I did not hear this cubby leak until after I filmed the video. So there's going to be a lot of redundancy. That's fine. I'm still going to, until it's official, I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
But it goes against the point where I would say, I'm not going to fight against the studio point anymore, or like the not playing in front of fans point.
After
Because
watching COD, the online, I enjoy that. I get to see my team weekly.
I want to see double round robin best of 3.
Oh
and split
my
2.
god, that would, dude. They're asking for too much. Come on, man.
Half online, half in the studio.
I'd be down for that.
Every team plays an equal amount of games online and an equal amount of games in studio. So it's fair to every single person. If you don't have good internet, sorry, not my problem.
So what you're saying is bring back the LCS bubble.
Fuck it.
Remember that?
Throwback Thursdays. Throwback Thursdays. Every Thursday is played from the LCS bubble.
That was, oh my gosh.
But or we could do Monday Night League again.
Not go there. Okay, let's not do that. I'm already asking for a lot trying to get Thursday and Friday games that are already online. It's going to cost some production money, I'd imagine, to make sure that they can get like the audio and the casting and everything. Okay, there. We don't like, here's my thing. Thursday, Friday, don't even need the studio. Don't need the lean in or the lead in or anything. Go full LCK. Hey, here's the casters, here's the games. And then Saturday, Sundays, whenever you actually have the full production.
And don't even pay a Zale
in the you can have the casters in the basement if you wish for like better quality.
Honestly, don't even get like the LTA casters that are currently like Azale has been doing so much work, and I love Azale, don't get me wrong, but it's like I feel like that would be a lot considering he's both color and play-by-play, and we only have one other play-by-play. Just get your NACL casters to do it. I'm sure they would be more than happy. You get like one other person like
you have
Jet
as well. Like
you have what?
You have Kangas and Flowers.
Oh, that's right.
Kangas, Flowers, and Azale.
I forgot about Kangas.
You have 3 of them. I think they should be fine. And how many LCK casters are there?
The LCK has money, bro. We are
English.
constantly.
How many LCK English?
Oh, English?
I'm saying
4, right?
the workload of how many games they cast per week, or how many series they cast per week.
I know there's 2 play.
Because they play 5 days a week, and they only have 2 play-by-play casters? Are you serious? And we're sitting here with 3 asking for 4 days and worrying that it's going to be a little too much?
No, I'm talking about the budget. They're clearly cutting on casters. We used to have way more casters. We used to have 5 play-by-plays. And clearly we went down to like
Okay,
2.5.
you're right, because they do have to pay them by the series because they are
Yeah.
contractor work. Fine. I think it's a necessary evil at this point. I think it's a necessary cost to build this league. We have to play more games. We cannot, like, in a world where teams refuse to do content and player streaming isn't working out all that well. You know, it's the easiest fix, even if it is lower viewership, because we can worry about that problem when it comes.
We can grow it as well.
More games.
And that's my biggest problem with why I said it feels like VCT, and it's soulless, because we're playing, like, the problem like I have with Valorant is they don't get the product out a lot. Like, the fans are starved of how many times they actually get to watch professional games a year. And it's depressing to see like a real pushback on how many games we're playing. I think you don't want to have like an extreme amount, go too many. But like there was no excuse for some of the stuff they did during Split 1. It was criminal we didn't get best of 5s in playoffs outside of the finals.
There's
like,
zero excuse for
I am
that
not
one.
here for the argument of double elim, because I'm a bit more traditional on the side of, like, for example, Worlds, and they're asking for double elim. I'm like, no, I like that. Like, I like that like World Cup feel of you lose, you're gone. Like you're going home.
And we have it with MSI, so it's there, you know, for those who care about like the purity of it, or not the purity, but like the competitive aspect. Getting the best 3 teams, like we have that.
Maybe like we're doing it as well, but like, do you think that fans are never going to be happy with any format that Riot like pushes out? There's always going to be like a want for more. I think like Fearless kind of showed this. Like, as soon as we got that out, it's now we need to have Fearless. It doesn't bother me either way, but I understand the fans that are now dying for it.
I just think it was such a nice change. It's the thing I've been wanting for a long period of time for me. So it's like, whenever it's like, oh, are people demanding change? Are people ever going to be happy? It's like, yes, I will be happy with the thing I've been asking for years becoming a permanent thing. I'm not going to complain at all about draft, about any of that shit. We might have map discrepancies that need to be figured out, fine. But like, in terms of drafting as a mechanic, no, I will never complain about Fearless as long as that becomes the standard going forward.
If it means we get to have best of 3s in Split 2, then like I'm on the train. I'm not like I'm just neutral. It doesn't bother me either way, like, compared to like some people that are like really happy with it. I think it is a good change of pace. Like, I don't have to watch fucking 10 games of Thanatos on Renekton or Cassante, but
calling it now, in case you didn't hear my prediction last night. You can clip this and ship it. The week after First Stand, it will be announced that MSI and Worlds will both be Fearless Draft, and Fearless will become the standard of LoL esports.
Oh, yeah, I already
that
prediction's going to come out, because if, like, obviously you have to take what Cubby said with a grain of salt, but if there's already communications that this could be a thing, then 9 times out of 10 this is going to happen. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any conversations already.
I said it last night before Cubby came out and said a thing. So I am time-stamped on this.
Predictions have been top-notch recently, like with Paul last week predicting the FlyQuest and C9 downfall, and now you're predicting best of 3s.
I legitimately think Riot is...
Hello? Oh, I thought I crashed. Okay,
I was looking at my end. I was like, wait, did I crash?
Same, I was just looking at my Wi-Fi.
I guess we just continue while David sorts his stuff out. Like,
yeah,
I just need to get rid of best of 1s. I don't care for it. I don't want to see it.
I just want more games for my team. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking. Oh, I guess I'm asking for much. I'm asking for more games.
The thing is, I don't like single round best of 3s. Like, I despise it.
More than best of 1s?
No, I wouldn't say that. Like, I think if those levels of like things, best of one is on the floor, and then you go up to single round robin best of threes, and then like the goal is double round robin best of threes. I can't foresee any Western League doing that. Like, if I'm being completely honest,
Double round robin, best of 3. What?
like if they wanted to, they would have done it already. Like, I'm a betting man. I don't think if I had to bet, they will never do double round robin best of threes again. As much as I would love to.
That would suck.
My internet crapped out at the wrong time for me to dispute that point in any way, in any meaningful way.
That's funny. Yeah, we both looked at each other. We were like, wait, is it us or is it him?
Nope, that was me. I get your point. I do. I understand that it's probably not going to happen, which is why I'm betting the safe one on just fearless best of 3 for everybody, which raises a massive question for Worlds. A massive, massive question of what do you do for Swiss stage? You cannot do best of ones when the whole year, every situation leading up to this had no best of ones. You cannot, under any circumstances, have that format. Like, it has to change.
Well, the thing is, VCT do Swiss stage best of threes, so I don't see why.
Yeah, but VCT games are so much shorter. Like,
now
we had 8 best of ones 3 days in a row last Worlds.
The thing that works in our favor, though, is that we've gotten rid of enough teams that play-in stage can kind of go away. So if you combine play-in stage days with this, you technically have enough.
I was saying that, but like if you look at like Counter-Strike majors, they have multiple Swiss stages. Like, you could have, if you really wanted, an upper Swiss stage and a lower, if you really wanted to, because VCT does like 8-team Swiss stage.
I think there are some problems with that, just because, like, think about LNG and Gen G. Like, we were talking about last year, how like they had like almost 3 weeks off or 2 weeks off after, because they finished 3-0. Like, the teams that finished 3-0 are gonna straight up not play on stage for 3 weeks. I don't know that you want to have a format where your top team is not playing for 3 weeks.
It doesn't have to be for like 3 weeks per se. Like, I think they just need to condense. I don't know how you condense it, but like, I know obviously the way you do it is you have like multiple streams, and
that
we're not going.
You can exclude that right now. That ain't ever happening. Ever.
But that's how CS gets through 2 Swiss stages in like a week.
Doesn't matter. That's not the promise that like MasterCard and everybody else is given. Like, that will, I can promise you 1000% we're never getting dual streams in LoL esports unless the shit takes off to the point of the NFL. Then maybe we'll talk about it then. But like, we are so many years away from that happening. No way.
Which sucks, because I actually think I personally wouldn't mind it.
I would very much mind it, as someone who's like trying to do
we're playing in studios
players,
anyway, so it's not like I care about. Well, the thing is, look, we're playing studios anyway, so it's not like I care about my team playing in front of a big crowd. Like, and that's like one of the things with the like the Swiss stages for CS is these are in like small empty studios that you could just churn out games, and then you move them on, and then you get to your big games.
Worlds is different though.
Yeah, I agree.
Worlds is the premier esports tournament in the world. There is no bigger event than Worlds at all. Given the ticket sales that we have seen,
LEC Studio.
Agreed, and we got the promise from Chris Greeley that is never happening again.
Yeah,
that they will make sure that it isn't.
It's not going to happen in China. I know that.
You know what? We were told it was never going to be on Easter again. So who am I to sit here and assume that that's not going to happen?
No, we know in China it's not going to happen. We already know where it's happening. So,
but I truly do believe that they're going to have to rework the format somehow. I'm not sure exactly how, because like now is their time if they're going to readjust it. You kind of need to. You still want. It's weird. You want the drama of the draw show, if you can have it, because that is like one of the most entertaining parts, even if like it isn't the best for like overall competition. But at the same time, given that there's only how many teams go to Worlds now? It's 4 from China, four from Korea. There's only 17.
17, yeah. And then there's like a one game of play-ins. Kind of like what happened between NA and EU, 4 seed, like 2 years ago, Golden Guardians and I think BDS. So there's
Yeah.
17 teams that are going, and then one of them gets eliminated, and then we go to Swiss stage.
All right. So here's my suggestion: taking a pool from, or taking a note from the LCK Cup. Even if people don't like this, here's my idea. We use those AWS global power rankings that Riot is really touting as like they're tried and true. 1 and 2 get to have their group, or get to be their team captains, and you pick 8 and 8 single round robin, best of 3. It within your group, not within the other group. You're not playing the other group. Keep it within your own. So you're picking who you want to play in your particular group, and then you only eliminate from there. So we'll have 16 teams. I don't know. If you have to get it down to 8, you can. But I'm trying to like you just do a single round, or you do a version of that feeds into just a single elimination bracket in some way, shape, or form.
You do
Maybe
like
you get
multiple teams from each group.
Maybe you go to 12. Like 2 teams from each group get eliminated. So you have 8, 2 teams get eliminated. You have 6. What the top team from each gets a bye into the quarterfinals, or set whatever it would be, and then you have 4 play. That means that of the 12, so 8 are moved on. No, that would you'd have to
you're missing 2
rework it
teams.
somehow, but there's a way to make that work where like certain team, whether it's 4 teams get a bye or more, however it would work. Figure out the bye system so that it's still single elimination. I don't want double elim at Worlds, but
yeah, I'm with you on that last point.
that's the only one that I can think of without doing, because I agree with Cloud that having that massive break
This is confident, man.
is too far.
Brady says 0 IQ in this show combined.
We tried to do math on stream, man. You should never try to do math on stream.
No, never. Never.
I don't blame Brady. I have a question.
But the biggest thing is I just don't want too many teams getting eliminated from a group stage.
Agreed. Yeah. I didn't realize how long we kept you. Thank you for your time. But I do want to ask you, like, we're 3 relatively small content creators. I know you like dwarf both of us combined, but what do we need to do? Because we talked a lot about what the teams need to do, what Riot needs to do, what the players need to do, what the orgs need to do. What do we need to do to grow this sport so that 3 years from now, we're not looking for a new esport or a new region? We are like growing this esport in the region that we love.
Do you want Optimist Andy or do you want dead honest answer?
Oh, dead honest. Actually,
I think you start diverse. Optimist Andy. Start while hosting watch parties in your local area. Like, I'm not trying to say like my content route or like what I'm doing is like peak, but I can't think of anything different from it in terms of finding a show that for your individual channel works well. For me, I've gotten really good feedback on the Overreactions series, which I can easily replicate each and every week, change up the topics, and it'll be a staple forever on my channel, which is great. And then that my content then feeds into getting people out and about at events. Like that's the whole, in theory, purpose is to either watch the mainstream or go to events. So my entire channel is basically marketing for them. That's like the optimist angle is you just keep doing that. You do a ton of short form content because you got to find a way to drive drama, drive entertainment and all that on short form platforms that then feed into the longer form. But the honest to God answer is I don't know if we can do anything to save North America. And I think we as creators have a responsibility to ourselves to diversify and be ready for a potential collapse of everything in 2 years.
It's scary
Like,
how much views I get on my LCK, like TikToks compared to my LTA.
Trust me, you don't have to tell me twice. You don't need to beat that point in. I'm very well aware. And it is a conscious effort at times of how much I'm talking about the LCK now on my channel. But that's because I'm doing morning recaps of games as they happen. And the reality is the LCK just plays more games. So I've inherently, like, my audience has shifted to become more international, which could technically hurt brand deals that I try and get because, ideally people want an American audience versus a Korean audience, etc. But there are certain products, luckily, that transcend all of them. I wouldn't have this mouse if it wasn't, if I had to guess, if it wasn't for me being willing to step into the LCK. Granted, I piggybacked onto the best team in the world, so kind of, I'll admit to that to a certain extent. But you got to diversify. You got to be ready because I just don't know with the writing on the wall as it is. If there's anything that we can do, given our limited reach, that would be able to save it in time. So be ready to possibly not make a swap, but go with whatever decision happens, which could be, Riot maybe merging North America with Europe or something like that. I don't know.
I speak Korean. I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready.
What about you, Marn? What would you say your answer is?
Well, I'm European, so I'm already halfway there.
Physically, yeah.
Yeah, how you enjoying that Keith Lee food tour right now, huh? How's that European blood, beans, and toast and bullshit treating you? Oh wait, not well, not spiced, not anything.
Try it.
You know what? I had my American representative try it, and he confidently shot down any interest I had of trying it myself.
It is one of those foods. Don't knock it till you try it. It's like so many people in the scene and Discord were like raving about. Did any of you heard of Spudman on TikTok? Yep. It was such a fun discussion trying to there were people being convinced about English food just from watching this guy's TikTok, which is also like a hilarious story. Like the UK government are trying to move him so they could put like flower beds where his food van is. And now it's just like this internet storm like saying please don't move this guy.
So what would you do to save our league? If you don't have something, I can go.
I think try and have an honest conversation with players, whether that's in between your interviews, during. Try and question your questions in a way that that's what I really tried to like the Busio one. I don't know how well I don't think it landed well, but you have to just start having these honest conversations with players. For me, it's a little hard when half of mine are requesting for a publication. So, like, I can't mess up the publication by going rogue on my own, like, points. Like, the publication will have things that they may want to say or, like, maybe want to ask. Most of the time it is my own stuff, but in the, like, the ones where I do for myself and, like, for, like, my channel that I have just started up, like, I probably will try and have more like, honest conversations. If that means I never have a conversation with these players again, whether I messed up or the player just evidently showcased that they don't care, which I'm not saying any of the players I spoke to just like past weekend was. It's just about trying to just get more from the player side. What do they want? And like you have to make them feel comfortable, like of course at first, but I think some of the more veteran players you can start to say, like, what are you going to do to make sure that in 2 years you're still here outside of performance?
All right. I hadn't honestly considered that, which is silly to say considering I have like a lot of access to players, but that's something I'll try to keep in mind as well. For me, I think the way to save the teams for like content creators like us is unironically picking a team and making content to the point that that team recognizes you. Like, even if you're a FlyQuest fan, if I'm like FlyQuest squad or what are they called? Flight crew. Whippo is streaming every flight check. There we go. Whippo is streaming like every other day. Like they have quad streams as well. And I think Busio does. I would unironically just go clip his stuff and post it on my channel because he's not doing it on his. And I'd be like, oh, Whippo stream. Just be like the FlyQuest hub channel where like it is constantly coming out with content showing that, hey, FlyQuest is playing tomorrow, or hey, Whippo said this. Did you see him like completely go off on like this Brazilian player or against Palafox? And then like I actually did that. I took both what Pal Fox and Bwipo said and I posted them on my channel, and I got like 1,000 subscribers from that, which was crazy to see. Like the amount of interest that was on the first week of LTA, and then it kind of died off from there. But I would I would work with the organization and try to prop it up from there. Like I'm in talks with Shopify again. Like I have some personal like things that I need to take care of, which is why I personally haven't been making more content this split. But uh, yeah, I think that's the way to go. It's like you become the fan of that team, and then you bolster that team and do content. And I think when teams look at you and they're like, "Oh snap, I have an editor. I pay like 5 people to make content, and they're posting like half the time as this person who has a full time job, and they're getting half the views. Maybe there's something there." And start those conversations. I know with Dave's like situation's a little different, but I think that's something you've already done and talked about doing. So I think that's how you.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, the uncertainty of like going to management and be like, "Hey, here's a really cool way of like propping up 100 Thieves content when you're not
Oh,
entirely sure they
yeah.
are." Yeah, that whole thing is a little.
One of the
No, yeah,
ideas, I think, if I wasn't like writing for publication, kind of what you guys do, but if you look at specifically Premier League, all of these teams have multiple fan channels where it is just fan content for fans. So like if I was a C9 fan, I'd be after every game making up 5 to 10 minute interviews with these fans and let that fan just talk the shit and then post
Yeah.
that every single weekend and then do. I think it's like David said, there's not enough like stuff to go, like games to go around where you can consistently talk about something throughout the team each week. With your sports teams, there is news coming out of your team every single day, so there's always a video to be made on them. But like maybe that's an avenue like people can do with like, for example, UCloud, like Shopify. If you want to do like, just get fans on, like get Shopify fans, because I always make the joke they don't exist. Like I'd love to be like proven wrong. Get those Shopify fans on after every week, like after every game, interview them, because I think that's sometimes where stars can be born. Because it happened with a football club called Arsenal Fan TV. That shit exploded because you just had fans screaming at the top of their head what's wrong with their team. And then it just makes for, like, you don't even have to do anything. You just have to sit there, hold the mic, and then like the fans just going off on one, and you let them do the work for you.
Have you ever seen the clip? Do you know who Steve Dangle is?
I haven't, no.
No.
Steve Dangle is a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Hockey. His entire content is just him reacting to games. Like after it's done, like posting a reaction to it. He was already very consistent. And there was a perfect moment for him and his content, which then shot him up into the stratosphere afterwards, where the Toronto Maple Leafs lost a game to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver that came in as an emergency sub. And I just pulled up his channel. He averages like 50, 60,000 views on his video per game. And hockey plays a ton of games. This video has 1.3 million. And the clip of him freaking out about them losing to a 42-year-old Zamboni driver just gets posted like every month or so. Just making the rounds. And it's brilliant. But it's like, that's like fan content at its core. Now, would that belong in the org? Like, no, you couldn't post something like that, like on the official channels. No. But like that type of stuff promotes a culture and gives like fans a spot to consolidate
And the
around, which is like
help
really, really good.
that like help prop it up and talk about it. And like, I know you had like Jungle Juice or Golden Glue like every now and then on on the pit. Like they actively, give you resources to continue doing that work.
Which is why I thinking about it from my side. I don't know if the Rendezvous could live on 100 Thieves channel. Like it would have to be a different version of it. It would have to be like a 100 Thieves update that's a little bit more formal, doesn't go at the org as much, like doesn't talk about like some of the business stuff. I think some of that could be encapsulated in like a podcast form if you were to do that on the channel instead. But like, there's to your point, there's got to be more that you can do in terms of utilizing creators. I mean, I know we beat that point to a pulp, but it's still worth saying until it happens. And it's the thing that bugs me is like, now granted, Shopify posted the clip 3 hours ago of Ludwig talking about Palafox and crew, but like, you need to utilize your creators. And if you don't have creators that can consistently put out content for your channel, at least 2 to 3 videos a week for League specifically, then you need to bring in somebody that can and is good on camera.
Works. The dynamic Meteus works well because I don't think fans would be that interested in, like, if he was doing like solo videos on the C9 channel.
Yep.
Have him as a mediator, and it works. It works pretty well.
Yep.
All right. Well, I gotta talk to some Shopify people.
Got to be ready to move out to Toronto for that one.
I don't think so. I think
I think so. I don't think as a content creator you can do the type of content that's needed without being there in person.
Oh, I wasn't going to tell them, hey, work with me. I was going to tell them, hey, get a content creator that makes videos twice a week.
I will tell them that they should work with you. You are a super fan that understands the business, and I'd be curious to see what kind of like content you could work out like with them on a consistent basis. But they should be looking to work with you, plain and simple.
I kind of disagree. I think they should be. I wouldn't be against like doing stuff with them, but I don't think when they're looking for content creators, they should pick me. They should pick someone who has a brand, someone like Ludwig maybe, and have him be the face. Like I'm completely with the idea of like having mascots, but we don't really use mascots. I think Team Liquid don't really utilize their mascots. So like forget that. Just have someone like a Ludwig who consistently makes content for you. And if Ludwig's too big and he wants to do many things and he has like too many things, hire someone smaller. Like just make sure they are making content for League of Legends, but at the same time they already have a brand. That way it's like mutually beneficial right off the bat. I think with me, it would be a situation where they might feel, I mean, some of my videos get more views than theirs, but I think in general, it might.
But you know what's an important part of that though? Is mentorship. It's something that I think I can say this. It's not anything like, because we were just talking about this personally. We were talking about the Kardashians the other day. Okay. And one of the reasons why, like, in my opinion, even though like I know there's some conflicts here, why I don't think the Kardashians is as fun to watch nowadays is like you were watching a lot of it for the rise and the glow up to a certain extent. And while you're watching, like, I would be watching Ludwig and Shopify videos to watch the glow up of the brand as a whole. I want a B plot that can eventually emerge to the A plot. And I think bringing you in personally to have Ludwig show you the ropes of content creation, like on an in-person scale, on the scale that he does it, and allow basically you get introduced as like kind of the protege in a way, like the guy who's like starting to get his foothold in content that can learn from some of the best while also following the journey, because you have one thing that he doesn't, which is underlying passion from the jump without a financial interest involved. That's something that he can't replicate. And that is something that is shown through time and time and time again on camera, that passion just is exuded elsewhere. They bring you under their wing. He obviously does his content. You're not in every video, but you pop up and you become like the JHB in a way of what he was for 100 Thieves, and kind of come in and slowly start working your way up into the main thing. And then you find your footing, and maybe you find a series that takes off that does well for Shopify, like independently on their channel, as well as growing your own personal brand. That's how you do it. You need to invest in people early on to see the rewards of it later. So while yes, I agree, you are not the size of Ludwig, you are not the size of Charlie. You have to see potential, and that's what you have, and that's your selling point.
I have to think about that
in a minute, but I think I guess I'd say like the one thing, at least for like Cloud specifically, is like what type of creator do you want to be? Because I think then, like David says, like that's your then like entry into, because like feels to me, if I was to drop, like, if I had a normal job and then I stopped writing, I would 100% just do a mock-up of what's successful in like the Premier League with these fan channels, because that shit is hilarious, and I think that's my like point of trying to embed a more fan community, because I do think esports is more player driven than like UI fan of a team. It's like I always cringe when I'll see people say I'm a FlyQuest and C9 and Team Liquid and Shopify fan all in their bios, and it's like pick one. But that's just because I'm
And
a
hate the
traditional
rest.
sports fan who, yeah, like I'm the type that will have the camera off, flip 100 thieves, and then turn on the camera to do a sniper interview. It's like that's the type of like fan I am. I will always, as much as I'm a C9 fan, I'm consistent with my work. Not everyone's like that. They're more like spread out with like the players that they want to follow, and like that's completely fine. I think you even get that in traditional sports like these days as well now, especially in like soccer. It's so bad in England, like the amount of like player driven fans rather than like you're fans of a team. But
I'll tell you what kind
I
of
think
person I want to
my
be.
goal would be sorry, like my goal would be to try and produce more like they call them match going fans. So then you have like that C9 core that goes to LA that are vocal when they show up. That would be like my goal, to try and just get more of an actual fandom.
If I could be like a Shopify content creator, what type of, I think in general, I think a lot of people, content creators, they change over time. So I'm not like addicted to one thing over the other. But if I had like the infinite amount of resources, I would be sort of like a more public Numi, where I would be constantly like talking about Shopify making content with the player. So actually making content, not just being a manager, but also like hands-on with the fans, going to like these fan fests, talking to the fans, giving them the time, getting them like to some of people to skip the line and talk to someone because like they have a really cool story that they want to share with Palafox or whatever it is. Give fans like, first of all, make it so that people know that Shopify is out there. I would actually like with the merch drop, like I probably would have had handwritten signature stuff from Ludwig and Moist and like maybe a picture or something with the person's name. Not everybody, but I do some of that kind of stuff. I constantly like be engaging Shopify fans. That's like what I would love to do. I would love to be the person that's like the fans can always know that they can talk to me and that I'm constantly going out of my way to talk to them. And at the same time, I'm busy with like bringing the personalities that, like we said, the players might not want to be doing this, bringing them in front of the fans and giving them a reason to care about their lives, their stories, what they're doing. Like, even if it's something silly or losing, like if it's losing all the time, why should you care about this guy who's losing all the time? Well, because he has a freaking cool story and he has a really important
Like
motivation.
I would then jump on what I was saying. You don't have to maybe do like the fan interviews, but like what are we doing now? We're here talking the shit. Why don't you have 4 Shopify fans after each game? You just sit there and you talk the shit, because then eventually, if you have these connections with Shopify, where like let's say I'm a random Shopify fan, I think that could be me sitting in a Discord call with a potential player that comes in, and I get to have a Discord moment with like a Palafox or a Contracts that I would never get to do otherwise. So like if I was you, from as soon as LTA's back, start having fans on like your channel. If you really want to be like the like giving to Shopify fans, like I would just start getting them on your channel as much as like possible.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Wow, we've gone for so long.
Yeah, we didn't get through any of the
you
topics that we had, like 2 of the topics, but
you bring me on at like that shit. I don't shut my mouth.
bro,
That's always a known
that's what we
problem.
need. That's what
I
we
would do,
need.
the thing is though, like I would do this every night if I could. I actually get, even though it's like late for me, I love knowing all I'm doing for the next 2 hours. I'm talking about the thing I watch every week and I love.
I couldn't do it every week or every day. I don't think like that I couldn't do. I think like
There's
between the
more games.
podcast last night, like I've recorded a bunch today, and like doing this as well is like I think like 2-3 days of like really talking about it like is enough without like needing to bring in like external things like going on.
Yeah.
It's like I still need to have stories from real life, like experiences outside of that can help shape and mold an opinion besides just like the games themselves.
All right.
And a dog snoring in the background, like like honked out snoring.
Aw.
Bless.
Is that Luna?
Yeah,
You have
I
two,
have
right?
no clue where Coco's at. Yeah, I have no clue
Yeah.
where Coco's at right now. Probably
I feel like I
somewhere over
only
there.
ever see Luna like on stream, and then Coco's always in your videos.
Well, the problem with Coco is like when Luna's sitting here on stream, her head pops up in the camera. She's big enough too. Coco, when she hops up on my lap, she's like sleeping in my lap and it's always under the camera point of view. So you never see her. But when I'm on camera, 9 times out of 10, Coco's on me. You just don't see it.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for coming on. I know you got to head out, Martin, right?
I got to go to the gym. Yeah,
I
Okay.
do,
All
because
right.
in half an hour I turn 27.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
early birthday, brother. What are we doing?
Thank you.
What are you doing?
I know the wife to be is taking me out to like a nice restaurant for like lunch, and then just spending time with family in the evening.
There you go. Enjoy.
I know they've got like a surprise cake. I really hope it's a C9 cake, because they did that for my 16th birthday. They had like the Red Bull like jersey and everything. It was hilarious. I hope they got something like that planned.
If you get a
Getting
C9
fucked
cake,
up?
you gotta take a
Shots?
picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
I 100% will. I'm milking that content.
Okay.
And you got to take a shot for every loss that you guys had to split.
Oh god, how many did we have?
Doesn't
5?
matter. It doesn't matter. It's your birthday. The goals
It
get
doesn't
fucked
matter.
up. Don
No,
Julio,
like 5?
1942.
I saw a funny stat that I think people complain about. Why did TL lose more games than everyone this split and won the split?
They also won more games than everyone in the split. So
Yeah. Oh,
Alright.
I actually want to. Before you head on, I feel vindicated. I said as soon as Spawn gets back, they will fuck shit up, and they did that.
By the way, where is that GoFundMe at? Pay for his visa, house, taxes.
I mean, you need what,
Car.
$5 million now for the gold card?
True, but technically, if you're a resident or if you're like a current like person here on like green card status or whatever it is, can you sell that for half the value? Like, does it work in the same way as a used car? Like,
I don't know. We got to figure this out.
Because I feel so vindicated with the Spawn.
you
As soon as
should.
it comes back, they'll look better.
Is he the GOAT coach of NA already? Who
No.
knows?
Dude, who was it? Was it Online League where they were saying that he's the GOAT of the West? I'm like, brother, Dylan Falco.
That's
That's
like
just
20
one.
trophies.
Dude, Dylan Falco has won more splits than Spawn has coached in tier 1. Like, come on, the guy had 3 splits and one of them was remote and he's already the GOAT? Come on, man. He won 1 split and we're saying he's the GOAT.
How many international events has he won?
0.
Okay. And what happens when Spawn wins first stand?
Then we'll have you back on the channel and you can put egg on my face.
I gladly will. I gotta go to the gym. I'll let you boys end it. You guys have a great night. Thank you for putting up with me.
Nah, thanks for coming on.
No problem, man.
See it.
See it. Dude, it was like when they had a graphic of like, oh, who's the GOAT NA jungler? Blabber inspired. And the people like, hello, does Smithy not exist?
Yeah, I know. I hate how this does this every time. Oh, well, whatever.
Well, anyway, I gotta.
All right, yeah, you gotta head out.
It was a fun episode.
It was. I agree. It was pretty fun. All right, happy birthday, and go have fun out there.
Yeah, thank you. All right, talk to you later.
All right, peace. All right. So Mix. Oh, you sent me a friend request. Is it too late now, or can you not come on now? No. Because I do want to talk about team allegiance versus player allegiance. Oh, now it's okay. Perfect. All right, I'll give you a call. Oh no, mine had to go. It's his birthday, and I think like he turns 27 in 20-ish minutes, and he wanted to like go and celebrate with his family. So, um, all right, I'll give you a call. Uh, Completely up to you if you wanted to do cam or no. I just don't really get it. All right, let me give you a call. Hello?
Oh yeah, sorry, Cloud. Give me a sec. Let me tune down my speaker setting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. No, I keep hearing this from more so from like Marn. I'm sure like you feel the similar way about the team thing, especially from like Marn and David. It I just never understood it. To me, I'm so a little bit of context for me. I've been playing League since like 2010, but I've never really gotten in traditional sports. So the idea of team allegiance to me, I feel like maybe it makes sense more if it's like I don't know, if you really mess with like the LA Lakers because you're from LA or something. But
Yeah, if it's regional.
it makes like no sense to me. Like I don't understand how people could be, especially as people I like really like love like I don't know, could be 100 Thieves T1. If I it makes no sense for me to me. I love if you can explain if you know a bit about their thoughts or
Yeah,
maybe your
sure.
own.
I have the same thoughts. I mean, I'm a Shopify fan, regardless of who you have on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of reasons. So I'll briefly go over like traditional sports is heavily based on like, hey, I'm from this region. But if you look at soccer, for example, it's not always like you're a Miami. I don't even know what their soccer team is called, but
I
you're
think
not a
Heat.
Miami fan. What is it?
I think Miami Heat. I only know because
That's
of
their
Dom.
NBA team. That's their
Oh,
basketball
my
team.
bad.
Yeah, but they have like a pretty famous like soccer team as
Yeah.
well, or European football, whatever it is. It A big part of it is like, hey, I like the branding of the team. I like the way that they Inter Miami. There we go. I like the way that they run their team. I like the way that their front office they treat the players, the way they show themselves to the fans. I like the way that they do their merch drops. I like the way that they run their organization. A big part of it is like inheritance. So we're older, and a lot of us are like starting to start families and whatnot. But your father may have been like a Lakers fan, or I guess in soccer, it's like your father's a Liverpool fan, and he's not from the UK. He's American, but he's always watched Liverpool, and so you watch Liverpool because your father or your brother were fans of that team. So that's like another reason. And then the third one you already mentioned is like location. Hey, I can go every single week watch my team play because they're the Washington Wizards. So I'll tell you, I'm like I live close to Baltimore, and in Baltimore, whenever the Ravens win, every Dunkin' Donuts around me has like a Baltimore Ravens donut. Whenever they play, all the bars around me are playing their games. Whenever they win, like certain bars have like special deals for like, hey, the Ravens won. It's sort of like a community feeling of like, hey, we're all part of this area, and so that's like what traditional sport does to make you a fan of their team. Now, obviously, that doesn't work with esports when you don't geolocate. It doesn't work with esports when we're very young and we don't have lineages of teams. And so what do we have? We have, like you said, players. Bjergsen was on TSM. If you're a Bjergsen fan, you're a TSM fan. He left. Some people may have stayed on TSM, but I bet that a lot of people moved with him. Same thing with Doublelift. When he was on CLG, everyone hated TSM. And as soon as he joined TSM, everyone was a huge TSM fan because of Doublelift. So we don't have that. But what my argument has always been is teams act in very specific ways. If you look at Team Liquid and their philosophy throughout since they joined Curse and Team Liquid, you've had Steve up front as the co-CEO, and he has done things the same way every single year. It's been very consistent. And so if you like the method that Team Liquid, if you like Steve as like the owner, if you like or the co-CEO, if you like if these people are constantly making decisions that make you happy, all of a sudden you appreciate that team more than all the other teams. If they're the only team that's making content, you might care more for the team rather than the specific player that happens to be in that content. So, for example, Cloud9, right now, they're posting a lot of content. But I imagine if they posted content since 2016 to now, you might have gone through many iterations of the sneaky era, and then the licorice era, the what's his name, the Sven era, and then obviously he left, and then he came the Berserker era, and then now this new era. You would have an allegiance to that team because over the years you've grown closer to, whether it's the upper management, whether it's Jack, whether it's all the people that are involved. For me, Shopify, I mean, immediately it was the philosophy that they came in with the league. I looked at what they did in other sports. I knew where they were coming from. I knew TLO from StarCraft. So there was some level of like connection. And I knew that the way they treat esports is very different than how all the other teams treat esports. So I'll give you an example. Team Liquid have sponsors. So you'll see like Coinbase, or you'll see like Alienware, you'll see all these different sponsors. And one of Team Liquid's top priorities is to make their LTA team worth money, right? They don't want to lose value, they want to make money. With Shopify, it's the complete opposite. Our whole point is to give to the fans, because at the end of the day, we're a $1 billion company. We don't actually care about making money off of the LTA because percentage wise, it's nothing. But our point is, we're going into something that we're passionate about, and we're going to sort of be a marketing arm for Shopify, the website. And so, like, if you were a fan of TLO, that's like a way of being a player into an organization. But I also like the way that the organization actually functions, the way that they, throughout all of their different endeavors, whether it's in Rocket League, whether it's in Valorant with their game changers, whether it's in Dota, whether it's in StarCraft, the way that they treat the players, prop them up, and try to bring in and improve on the rosters and improve on the content and hire more people and things like that. So that's another reason it could be like, hey, I like what the org is doing. I think what org need to do is actually have mascots. So Duolingo, are you aware of Duolingo?
No. Oh, yeah, Dueling mascot. Yeah, no, the funny bird.
Yeah,
That says a lot
exactly.
of
You've
great.
probably never cared about using the app or anything, but like so many people, like the bird just because of the mascot. So many people got into using the app just because of the mascot. And I think that teams need to invest in mascots, if not faces. So another reason it could be like, hey, I'm a big Meteos fan, and so I was always a Cloud9 fan. Maybe you're a Ludwig fan, and now you're a fan. But again, that's like personality, and I know you're pushing against that. I think that we should have other reasons, because I think if you're a team, you don't want to have, obviously you want to have like a star player that stays with you his whole career, but at the end of the day, he's going to retire, and you don't want to lose your viewership
Right.
based on someone retiring or deciding to leave to a different region, a better offer, whatever it is. You want the team, the organization, the people behind it to care about how you do things. And so that's why I argue it. That's why Marn, throughout all these different iterations of Cloud9, since he started watching, he cares about Cloud9 because he genuinely, back in 2016, 2017, like 2015, Cloud9 was like the friendship team. It wasn't like the whole Cloud9. It was a cool, if you were a Cloud9 fan, you were like a cool fan, like those were the cool people. They were the Cloud9 fans. The obnoxious people were the TSM fans. And he joined in that environment and enjoyed being with those fans until today. So those are some reasons. I don't know. You can tell me, maybe I'm not making much sense.
Yeah, I mean, I for the management thing, I mean, I kind of get it. I feel like a similar way, but the opposite direction. So like you say how like, just, like Steve has a very particular way he likes to manage. It's all about victory, right? And I do get that. I feel that way, but for hating. So like I'll just give you an example. Like I really hate how I don't like the C9 systems thing. I think it's there's a word for it. It starts with an R. I'm not gonna say it, but let's see. I hate the C9 thing. T1 always has. I don't know. I don't like their. I like Faker as a guy, but T1's whole management thing. I've heard like so many Johns. Like I like the most like memorable to me was, I don't know if you heard of it. Do you remember Polt by any chance?
Pulp?
Uh, Polt, Polt.
No. What
I'm
is
not sure
that?
if you were watching LCK during the time, but there's this whole thing where it was back in like sorry. So it was back in like 2022, when he was the head coach for T1, and they lost the big game in 2022. I don't know if it was DRX. I don't remember if it's the DRX one, but he just blamed it on being blue side. And
Oh
It's like
no,
stuff
are
like
you talking about when they played against RNG in 2022 finals and like it went to 5 games and
yeah,
blue side won every single game? I thought that
that might
was
be it.
I don't think that was Pult. I thought it was what's his name?
It was. I could probably look up like
Oh, maybe it was
Pulse.
Pult. Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
even know he coached T1. But yeah, I remember he went public and he was like, I hope that next time we can have more blue side games. And I was like, dude, you lost the
yeah.
twin cost. Just suck it up.
Yeah, I mean, like even if blue side's like I mean, that's definitely argued, right? You could have like LS like going on a whole tirade about that. Like that's definitely like contentious and not assured. Like even if it is, you shouldn't say that as a reason. Like you should not cite that. You should just take the loss in your chin. It is what it is. We'll do better next time. It's the same thing for like the whole like the Zeus thing. Like I despise T1 as Nordic for that. Like I'm sure like they I don't know, they're kind of like they probably sure they do like a lot of like Google-ish stuff for their like workers, right? For their players have a nice cafeteria, whatever. But the whole pure. I mean, I get the management thing, but from the I guess the other aisle, I just hate. I just love hating. It just it gives me energy. I don't know, life.
Or
Yeah.
maybe you should find teams that you hate instead of love. Like maybe that's your
Well, yeah,
thing.
that's my thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
every T1 game I'll show up to hate. Every C9 game since the whole LS thing, I'll never forgive them.
Oh, you're lucky that
Uh,
Martin isn't here then.
oh yeah, I was so happy talking about it too. Yeah, I mean, at least I'm watching. So
That's true. That's true.
uh,
At least you're watching.
yeah, I mean, I show up to hate the systems. You don't need to do your morning workout. You want to work out at night, that's fine. There's just so many things that, and I mean, I kind of get it. The regional thing. I mean, the regional thing makes sense to me. I went to a, what do we call it, like a Big Ten school or something like that. Honestly, it's been a while since college. I forget. From the college sports thing that NA's kind of big on. Um, I mean, the local thing I kind of get. Yeah, and the parents thing. Well, we don't have that yet. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Your dad is a Yankees fan. You're a Yankees fan, I guess. I mean, that stuff does make sense to me. I'm just trying to struggle with how I could possibly like a management style more than a player and the characters that they they essentially do art with, that they make look so beautiful. That's what I'm struggling with. Like how is it possible that you like the management stuff? Because as you said before, esports it's not local. Yeah, and I don't think it's local anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Is it local?
Certain games, but not League of Legends. No.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. That's the thing because it's not local, so it's just like everyone just really messes with a team because of a management style, and they it. I don't. I to me it just makes it like I'm like trying to like wrap my head around, like trying to understand like how
It
is
could
this
also
possible
be
to me?
it could also
Yeah,
be the content that they put. So think of TSM. So many people are like fans of TSM. They became fans of TSM because of the content
yeah.
that they made, right? And like even up until
Mhm.
2023, they still had their like show that they were doing TSM Legends. And so it could be, hey, I'm a fan of TSM because they always show me behind the scenes and like I've grown to like
Okay.
grown fondness to this
Yeah,
organization. We
yeah.
do technically have teams that have legions, like regions. So Shopify, for example, is the Toronto like team, but they don't do too much with Toronto in League. I know they did some stuff with Val, but they didn't do anything with League yet. So who knows? But yeah, if I can sell you on Shop, do you have like who's your favorite player? I guess.
Favorite player? It's, from a Western POV, probably the Western player probably Bwipo. Korean player, Chovy or yeah, probably Chovy. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's for Bwipo's thing, it's more because he opens his mouth, and the Korean thing is he's just a great player. He's a great player, and when his VODs are incredible. It's just his breadth of work is amazing.
Are you
It's
a mid laner?
really yeah,
You
yeah.
sound like a
Yeah,
mid
I do play
laner.
mid. Yeah, so to me it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful, and Faker in a similar light. It's just he's kind of mid. He's kind of a mid at laning, but he makes tries to make up for it. So I really do respect that because he's geriatric and we're getting to be geriatric. So
That's fair. Do you
yeah,
have any content creators that you follow or you enjoy?
I'm trying to think. Beside, I mean, probably okay. Well, uh, probably I'm trying to think. You mean like co-streamers or like
Well, anyone. They don't have to necessarily be a co-streamer, but like if it is, that's fine. Like, do you someone
yeah,
who makes content for the league? So David isn't a co-streamer, but it could be David. It could be like I Will Dominate, for example. He is a co-streamer, but just anyone
yeah,
really.
yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Um, yeah. Let's see. For a content creator, I probably watched LS the most, just because he's better gamer, interesting. He always pushes it forward. Even if I like might disagree with some, he always you can respect. He always tries to get into like the most of details. People like him, and people on the more fun side, Hums, Sanchovies, Nikic, those kind of fellas. And let's but from on the other, are there any content creators? Probably just LS, and I watch like
Okay.
Dom to watch him react. You just watch him hate. That's basically it.
So here's my question for you: if LS were to have signed with FlyQuest like whenever he signed like 3 years ago now, he signs with
Mm.
FlyQuest and he becomes like a FlyQuest content creator and he makes content for the team for like 10 years and he actually does a lot more than just like what he does now. He's active with the players, regardless of who the players are. He's always constantly engaging with the fans, the community, and stuff like that. And then LS decides, hey, I'm not going to stream anymore. I made enough money. I'm just going to retire. I'm going to move to a different game.
Yeah,
Would
would I still be a FlyQuest fan?
Yeah, that's my question.
Uh, to me, honestly, depends on how the team would perform. To be honest, if the teams, well, yeah, probably how the team performs. Like if they lost like their luster, I don't think so. I'm not like that much of a team based fan, unless like Papa Smithy managed to just knock it out of the park again and like find gold. I don't think I would be.
I would
I'm
say
like, yeah,
I would say
you
if
go
you
on.
watch a team and are a fan of a team for 10 years,
Yeah,
if they start sucking, you're still going to stick with them. Just like based on like
do you think so?
how it
Yeah.
normally happens with sports. Yeah.
Mm. I'm like trying to imagine, like, imagine if if they were good for like a decade and if they started sucking. I'm not
No, I'm not
sure.
saying they were good. I'm saying you had a reason
Yeah,
to be a fan of that team. So like
sure.
FlyQuest
Yeah,
finishes last, but LS is still there. He's still
right.
making content. He's still growing the fan base. He's still interacting with people.
Hmm.
At some point, you're not going to care so much about the players. Like you're going to want them to play well when they're on your team, but you're going
Yeah.
to care more about FlyQuest's success rather than like a Whippo
Mhm.
or maybe Whippo becomes a coach and you still care about him. But like either way, you're going to care more about the success of the org because you have a vested
Mhm.
interest, right?
I mean, I might have to give that time to. I don't think I would though. If I find like another like personality like more compelling, like let's say like I don't know, in like 5 years, I don't know, Sniper starts like talking his shit. He maybe he's like the new top lane star.
Hmm.
I might just be a fan of him to be honest, because I just
I think you'd be a fan of both. That's my
I
guess.
mean, you could be, but I feel like for me, like it's it's always people at the end of the day. I mean, I like they really did like the mascot idea that you have the Duolingo. The bird thing is brilliant. Like
Yeah,
that is
I'll
brilliant.
just tell you, Duolingo is one of the worst ways to learn a language. Like straight up, it
Oh
does
yeah,
not teach you a language. But they have done such a
okay,
good job at their mascot that people just think, "Oh,
yeah,
learning language, let me go to Duolingo." It's a tool. It's not
right,
like a course. It's just
yeah,
like one little tool, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, I think hopefully like maybe to you it doesn't click because again, like you said, you didn't necessarily um like here's the thing, when you make a place your home and you interact with the fans and you interact with the community and the players and the management.
I think the community thing makes sense to me. Like if I don't know if you were in March, for example, like you found like I don't know kindred spirits in that community, that makes sense to me. Because at that point, it's not about the people within the org necessarily. It might just be like I don't know. Yeah, maybe for example, there's a T1 fan and they just love the T1 fan spirit. It's I don't know. It's like it's kind of like TSM esque, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean that makes sense to me because that then your fandom is to being part of this a group that you find enjoyable, right? I mean
Yeah.
that make that I could see that. That's something that you've given me to think about. I could see that for sure. there's still people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could think of it as Corpa as well. But
I
I
think
mean,
that's
yeah,
a big part. When you go to like these big events and everyone's cheering for FlyQuest, everyone's like you get hang out, you exchange discords, you start playing games together. Like you talk on Reddit and Twitter and like you fighting other people that hating on your team and like the fan art that happens. Like FlyQuest has really cool like fan artists. Team Liquid I think have some of the best like fan artists that do stuff for TL and the players. Like it when you're part of like a community, it definitely like gives a different vibe than just watching specific players.
hmm
But I'm not against being a fan of a player. I just think if you're an organization, you should never have your brand tied to a player.
oh,
Even
no,
like a figure, I think you should always have it tied to like a mascot.
something like
And when you have a big player, like you sign a JoJo, like make him your star, but at the same
right.
time, don't like not make content of everyone else. Like always invest in the org first and foremost.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like the day Fakers retire is gonna be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It's very
crazy. Do you see
worrying.
the interview? He's just like, I haven't even I haven't even started thinking about retiring.
Or do you see it like recently, like in the
Yeah,
past?
like 2 days ago.
Okay, no, I mean that is good. I hope someone else starts racking up championships because we need to
Me too.
diversify.
He needs
Yeah,
to stop winning. Like all respect to Faker, but like other people need their trophies. Come on, man.
right.
Can't take
Yeah,
all of them.
because I don't. It'd be crazy if he retires and then half the LSK viewership's gone.
Yeah.
Real bad. And then China's every year they go and they slip further and further in depression.
Yeah, but it's like the goal of myself to make people like you who might be fans of players and not teams to like join that community and become a fan of the team. Same thing with David. He wants people to join the 100 Thieves community. Same thing with Marn. He wants people to join the Cloud9 community. And that's like
Mm,
what we're out here doing, you know. That's why we had that whole discussion of like what do you do as a small content creator to get people to
mm.
be fans of the team.
Have you found like a lot of adoption? You think? Because I know your subs have grown a lot, right? What do you think about like general adoption? Because maybe people like me, they're not like Shopify fans, right? But they do watch.
Yeah, I think Shopify fans have like tripled or quadrupled like over the past 2-3 months with the obviously with Ludwig joining and like all that stuff. We only played 3 series, right? Like we played for 3 weeks, so it's kind of hard to talk more about the league team, and we didn't even have our full roster, so it's a little hard with the format right now. But hopefully, going to split two, like once I make content every week about the Shopify games, I'll see more people coming. Maybe that'll motivate Shopify to have like one of their players come talk to me every week, stuff like that.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. No, that's all for me, Cloud. Yeah.
All
Thanks so
right,
much for
thanks for
talking. I
hopping on,
appreciate
man.
it.
Take care.
Yeah. Thank you. Take
Peace.
care. Yeah. See ya.
All right, so best of three rumors. Henry, basically what happened was yesterday on a stream, Cubby, who is an ex-caster of the LCS, right? He used to be a LCS caster. He doesn't cast anymore, but last year he was on cast. He mentioned how there are rumors that LC, not LCS, LTA going into split two is rather than doing best of ones, is going to do best of threes. That's what started this whole rumor. Like they're considering changing it. So that's pretty much the rumor. We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't go into too much detail. Actually, we went into a lot of detail. Yeah, you can go back to David, and he's an NACL caster. No, he. Oh, Rafa was the one that became a LCS caster. My bad, my bad. You're right, you're right. He was a NACL caster. He's an LPL English caster right now, like the unofficial broadcast. But yeah, he mentioned how it's changed. It kind of feels like a throwback to what happened last year between spring and summer, where they were like, okay, community really wants best of threes, so sure, let's do best of threes. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved to best of threes, but honestly, just because of like the viewership thing and they want like more viewership, was this split that disastrous that they're considering best? I think that's what happened. I think they were like, oh my god, we had such little viewership that if we do best of ones, like what used to happen before, we're gonna have like lower viewership because best of threes increases your peak viewership, right? Am I right? Must be shitting themselves if they're backtracking all these decisions at once. I actually don't think so. I think it's a really healthy thing. What's happening? Where it's like they make decisions based on specific things, and then they're like, hey, it's actually just healthier for the community to not do what we were doing. I heard Fearless might be brought back too. Yeah. Can I send you a link? Sure, I'll send you the link of the clip. It's somewhere here. I was just watching it. Copy. Uh, here it is. I think it's. I don't know about Fearless. If I had to guess, next year, all League will be Fearless. I don't think Riot's going to jump the gun and be like, okay, it's Fearless forever now. I doubt that. But what's his name? David's bold prediction, which he said he's going to have a video on tomorrow, but he did say it on the stream, so I'm going to say it, is that Riot Games is going to do that. They're going to say, hey, every single tournament moving like Worlds and MSI is going to be fearless. Everybody else has to be fearless moving forward. And that's why they're considering changing LCS or LTA into best of threes, because you can have best of one fearless. Yeah, next year. Yeah, I think so. I think next year we're going to have fearless. This was an unreal success. Yeah, it was a failure in all parts. I think to me, I think the games were fine. Not the finals, I'll be honest, but I think they did a poor job at branding. I think they just didn't do a good job of branding, and we suffered because people didn't watch games because they didn't know about the games, and there was a lot of cool stuff happening, and they didn't show it off to people. Like, I think teams need to be more active on social media. Riot needs to do more stuff with the players and personalities and stuff. And but yeah, we've talked a lot about that. Anyways, I'm gonna go head out. It was definitely a fun stream, long stream, but it was a lot of fun. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for David for hopping on. Thanks for Mix for hopping on as well. I mean, NA was a failure, but Fearless Everywhere was sick. Yeah, so I don't think Fearless was a failure. I think even in NA it was a success. I just think it was the branding of LTA was a failure. Like objectively, you look at the numbers, it was absolute failure. I don't know what they're gonna do for Split 2, but I'm gonna do my part to hopefully bump up like Shopify content and Shopify people and Shopify everything. Thanks for chatting. No, thanks for coming on. All right. Peace, guys. See ya.